So the topic for this interview is the influence of user-centric technology on adolescents' development and the quality of their interpersonal relationships. You have been grouped in the category for concerned parents and relatives. Who might you be concerned for, and what is this individual's or these individuals' relation to you?
Usually it's my daughter, my youngest daughter, and she's about ready to be 14. And and also my wife, both of them. Both are kind of very attached to their technology. My other kiddos, they kind of just, my oldest, she used to be really obsessed with it, and she got into that whole thing where she had the fake app where she would hide things from you. It kind of looked like a calculator, but it wasn't one.
I'm not familiar with that. Interesting.
Yeah. So, I mean, seriously, they're called, what are they called? I forgot what they're like, ghost apps or something, but they're supposed to look like something else, but it's completely something different.
Wow.
And yeah. So you should do some research on that. And so I found out she was doing that because I think I was scrolling through and Oprah Winfrey was like, hey, just so you know, there's these things called. And so I looked it up and I looked at my daughter's phone and I was like, she has 2 of them.
Oh my
God.
Wow.
I took those away and everything. And she was talking to boys that way. And she was only 18 at the time. And I was not cool with it because, you know, they were all older guys. So,
very interesting. And this is with your daughter. But
she was 15 at the time. Yeah.
But your wife, she doesn't try to hide activity from you, right?
I don't think she tries to. You know, I don't know. This is my second marriage, and I kind of just am really working on myself. And if she is trying to hide stuff from me, you know, whatever makes you happy, I guess, is how I'm looking at it. But you know, I don't trust her. But I don't know, my last relationship, they were messing around on me and I didn't know about it. So the whole, if for some reason it makes people feel guilty whenever if you ever say anything to them, it becomes like that whole instinct of, I almost feel like it takes us back to the hunting and foraging for ourselves. And
it's interesting you bring this up. Elaborated on by Aiken 2016 in her article Designed to Escape. Very interesting.
Yeah, because I really feel like it, and that's the reason why some people get more attached to it than others. And I feel that
I'm interested in why certain individuals are more susceptible to internet addiction than others.
You know what, to tell you the truth, I think it's whenever people are thirsty at the moment for time, they're trying to figure out who the hell they are, or trying to, people that always want to feel as if they're helpful. Those are another people. They feel like they have to put out their opinion or put out their, you know, their helping guide to everyone out there.
To validate their input.
Yeah, to validate yourself. And it's funny to me because I find it good at some points, then it also, I don't know if I find it as being boasting or I'm trying to the right correct words for it. People are,
there's no self-moderation in this.
And me, I just get sick of it because I'll try to relate with somebody, but it's like sometimes it's fights, you know, and it's like I don't want to fight, like you know what I mean? Like, so I'm just like, I just want to stay up here. I want to create my art and do what I love. And hey, you're so creative. I'm like, man, but you're so smart. Whenever I met you, I was like, she's super smart.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah.
All right. So how would you describe these individuals' family income? Below average, average, or above average?
Okay, so I think we're about average. So, but I notice people that are really, really wrapped up in it, they don't really pay attention to the things that are around them. And see, I'm not saying I'm a material person, but I do like to have a yard that I can grow vegetables in. And I do like a clean house, you know, pretty clean house. I mean, you're an artist, so it's hard, you know, but
it helps with clarity of mind.
yes, it does. It kind of helps you start with the new canvas, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel that the people that are usually wrapped up in it, things could be falling down apart around them and them not even realizing it.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Sort of a separation between reality
Yeah,
and
it's
perspective.
they're in and they're not. Had a perfect word for it yesterday. They just seem detached, but then immersed at the same time.
Mm-hmm. It's an entirely different world. They can exit reality and opt for an alternative reality, I suppose.
And more like they'll say things that they would normally not say in person as well. It's like your avatar.
This, I believe, Purple talks about, I believe there's a section called the Avatar of Me that really goes into depth about this behavior. It's very intriguing.
I bet, man.
It gives people anonymity, and so they behave in ways they never would if they had to be responsible for those actions.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that's really missing with all of this that's going on. People don't feel like they're gonna get the like the repercussions of it. I don't even know if I'm using the right word.
They don't have to answer for this.
Yeah, they don't have to. It's like you aren't, and so there's a win-win about technology, a win and a lose about technology completely. So I just,
Sure. I mean, it offers so many innovative opportunities and so much convenience, but at the same time, it opens up so many doors for bad behavior.
Yeah, and you're losing parts because, I mean, how many times you go to something and people are in a room and they're like looking at their phones and they aren't even talking to the people that they're, around. And then now that we have this, COVID going on, people are even more detached, but they're freaking out because they can't be attached. So it's
absolutely. So the lack of relationships and stimulation from these relationships is causing deeper immersion into these devices.
Yes, completely. And then that takes us back whenever we used to hunt and forage for all of our stuff again.
Mm-hmm. That absolutely. There's that impulse that to seek, to find, to obtain. Yeah.
Exactly.
And to validate. Yeah. That's very interesting.
I think I've kind of, I don't know, the last couple of years I've really woken up and just been like, well, it's like you gotta live now, because there's so many people that are not. It's so crazy to me.
I feel like everything that these devices and this connectivity provides is just sort of anecdotal more. It doesn't truly fulfill these desires or
a lot of bull.
Yeah. And that makes me wonder what repercussions might that have in the future on the developing youth, especially.
Exactly. Yeah, because I feel like they're completely wired different the more they're attached to it.
Mm-hmm. It is likely editing their perception of the world.
Isn't that crazy? And you try, whenever you bring it up to the person that you think that is, that they're obsessed with it, it's their behavior is so weird towards you. It's interesting.
That is. The addict usually lashes out in certain ways defensively, in regards to the addiction.
Yep, and that's how it is every time. And then they start hiding.
That's interesting.
Yeah, because, that's what my daughter did. She started hiding her phone. She actually took a phone didn't take a phone, but borrowed a phone from another kid from school. And she was being a dumbass with it and ended up dropping and breaking the face. So the person got mad at her. But at the same time, whenever all the stuff was going on, I found the phone and I called parents that was attached to that phone. And I said, just so you know, I found this in my daughter's backpack and blah, blah, blah. And the face is crashed and I don't know what it is, but I need to reimburse you for anything. And then her son walked up to my daughter at school and said, I don't like how you are. I don't like your behavior. And I hope you learn from this, and walks away and does. I don't want to be. And I was like, wow. And she came home and she said, I can't believe that you did this. And I said, well, this is a thing for you to step back and look at yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is scary for young individuals. There, I mean, since the invention of television, we've just sort of participated in all of this innovation without any forewarning, without any advisory for how this might
A rule
influence.
book,
Yeah.
some type of a rule book, you know, the book to raise
There's no rule book. Yeah.
technology. None of that. It's mainly my wife and my first daughter that really scared me with technology. The other two kids, they seem to be more grounded. I think it's because they're around me the most. And
That's very interesting. That brings me to question the importance of the parental bond.
yes.
How important do you think bonding is in contribution to susceptibility of internet addiction?
Okay, so I'm going to show you with my view on my life, and then I'll tell you how I feel about other people's view. Okay. So at least how I perceive it. So me, myself, I'm not very connected to it. People will message me and I have a notification, so I'll just look at it. I'm not just sitting there looking at the internet unless I'm doing research. And my daughters, they do about the same. They use it for about the same thing. And I'm really connected to my kids, I feel, because I can tell whenever they're in what moods. I can tell by their body language. We can say pretty much anything to each other. I've raised them like that. I wanted to, even though I went through a divorce, and one of the reasons why I went through a divorce is because he didn't respect the kids and talk respectfully to them. Told them that a certain one was his favorite, and he was really attached to the internet. Geez. Yeah. So I was just like, you got to get out of her life. You're toxic. They can see you on the weekend. You know, let's just make it that way.
Very interesting.
Yeah. And so, yeah, connection is a big bonding thing for kids. Cause I don't know. I feel like the more you talk with them, relate with them, show respect back to them, they show respect back to you. Now, if you're a parent that's like sitting there looking at your phone the whole time, but when the kids don't do exactly what you think they should be doing, like some people think that their kids should be cleaning up after them, like after the parents.
So absolutely, it really has an effect on people. I remember feeling so, I guess, broken inside, so unresolved, because I could never bridge a connection with my mother.
Wow.
And I also a bit of resentment because something so terrible happened to me and she was right there, but so far away. But
isn't that crazy?
Makes me particularly interested in this subject and afraid for what this addictability might, detriment for parent and child bonding.
Yeah, exactly. I really think that I feel as if addiction, it comes into play, there is a sense of selfishness. Do you get I don't know I don't know if that's the right word or not, but I feel like if someone is so obsessed with something, like even parents that are obsessed with their children, sometimes that's a little too much,
Absolutely.
It's like,
there's a balance everywhere.
Yeah. And so I feel, and this is me being married to a person that's very attached to their phone. I mean, they attached to everyone else. She wants into everyone else's thing, and I could be here in the household telling her what's going on with us, and she doesn't hear it because she's so attached. Yeah. And so that in general makes you feel, and I couldn't even imagine what it feels like for a kid. And I bet you they feel it way more because the parents as if feel that they have the importance. They are taking care of all this.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. But then that moment turns in all the time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the addictability of technology. I mean, it is designed to. It's important for each person to understand that these applications and this various media is designed specifically to appeal to everyone's psychological and neurological chemistry, you know?
Change it. Yeah. And then take all your time. A lot of people don't realize the time they spend on that.
It's important to understand that and to implement like self-moderation and mindfulness.
Yeah. And become connected to things that are around. Like so many people, I asked somebody the other day, how often do you look at the sky?
Right. Appreciate the little beautiful things around you.
Yeah, I was like, look at the sky. I mean, seriously, look at the sky. Look at the clouds. Do you see anything in the clouds? Did you see the bird? Like, look at that cardinal, you know, like, and a lot of people don't even acknowledge it. It drives me. I just look at them like, where are you? And then you'll ask them whenever they're sitting there and they can't play on their phone, but they're staring off to nothing. What are you thinking? You know what I mean? And they're like, I don't know, nothing. And I'm like, you can't.
That's sad. And it's so really sad. People can know like textually about the world and their surroundings, but they don't truly know. They have no experience with these things. They don't understand it as how it relates to them and how they are part of it.
Yeah, it's so funny to me how many people do not realize, like, they don't get that they live on Earth. Like, it's like, oh, my allergies are bothering me. Well, maybe it's windy out and there's a whole bunch of plants that are blooming right now. Like, a lot of people, like, like,
yeah, doesn't that inspire questions, investigations, you know, and then explorations?
Yeah. It's so weird to talk to people that don't. I'm like, I don't even see the way you see. I don't even know how you can see that way, but it's crazy and sad.
I can't either. I grew up without television, without any technology.
And you know, it's one thing that if I became a parent, I remember vowing this to myself whenever I was really a kid. I was probably about 5 or 6. And I said that if I'm ever going to be a mom, I'm going to be a mom that spends time with her kids.
Right. It's very important. It's a fundamental necessity.
It fucks the next generation up when you don't. But what it did to me is it woke me up and go, that if that happens, I need to make sure that I'm on my ball. I make sure I am paying attention and ask the questions and go, why is this not working? You know, why is she closing up to me? You know, yelling at a kid does not fix anything. I have to say, the people that automatically are usually connected to technology, either one is with a relationship with somebody that yells a lot, or two, they yell a lot themselves and they think it's okay.
Sort of a volatile inclination. So this is interesting. You seem to have the right headspace for all of this. You experienced lack of connection with your mother, and therefore you're particularly concerned about being present in your children's life. So you mentioned that your other daughters were really close to you and don't much have an issue with technology or use. However, your youngest does. Why do you think that might be? Could it possibly be related to her paternal bond?
I think it's my oldest one that I've had the hardest problem with. It's my oldest. My youngest one, she connects with her friend just a little bit, and then she gets off of it and plays on her drawing pad that's technology based.
Okay, it's your oldest.
Yeah.
Were you still married to your husband when you had her?
Yes, I had all 3 of my daughters with him. We were married until the youngest was 3 years old.
Okay.
And, he would just come home from work, either look at his phone or watch TV all night. He wouldn't talk to us. He would fall asleep after work, and then he would go out to the bar in the evening time.
Wow. So a lot of neglect on his part.
Yeah. And he would, but he always said to me, whenever we had our first daughter, he played around and kidded around with her a lot and spent more time with her. The other 2, he just said, I'm over it. I've already had one. I don't care. And then he, one Christmas, whenever we were still together before we split, he said in front of the girls that his favorite daughter and the only daughter that he really cares about is our oldest daughter, which is Zoe. And yeah, it's a real weird, and she knows it too.
That puts a lot of pressure on.
Yeah, and that's one reason why I kind of give her space. I just tell her, let her know that I love her. But she lives with me. She doesn't have such a connection to it anymore. And Jason and I haven't been together for a while, but I really feel the reason why she is detached the way she is because of, I think she just saw the whirlwind going through the divorce and how it was. I think her having all the responsibility on her shoulders of him saying something like that in front of the other two sisters, I'm sure she feels resentment from them. I don't know. I'm not in their shoes, but the only thing I can do is kind of understand that might happen in it and just try to make them where they're all close. My youngest daughter, so it's so weird that there's a parallel in their personality. So my youngest daughter and oldest daughter look a lot alike. They act a lot alike. They both are really book smart, and stuff like that. And and they both have a big resentment towards each other. And I don't know if it's because their personalities are so alike, but yeah, it's a real
unique identity. Yeah,
that might be what it is. I don't know, but yeah. So I feel like probably going through all the stuff, and her dad, he would come home, and whenever she got to. Because he gave her a lot of attention when she was really little, and then he stopped giving everybody any attention the older that everybody got. So
there seems to be a dichotomy that's developed more and more since the invention of television, really. From the silent generation to the boomers, television started indoctrinating children, and then parents and children started becoming more divisive, and it's just sort of gone from there. Children raising children, people missing major pieces of themselves and retaliating in various ways and hurting one another. And I wonder if there's a way that this can all be repaired.
Yeah, well, I think it is. You're on to the right thing, because what you just said, with Jason's dad and his mom. His dad was an artist himself, but he was an engineer as well. And he had Crohn's disease, which Jason has Crohn's disease. And he would just come home from work, drink a beer, smoke a cigarette, and watch TV all night. And so the interaction between him and his dad, as he got older, got worse and worse. When they were younger, he would spend, a lot of time with both of his kids. And the older he got, I guess he didn't feel well. So he spent less time with them and got more into technology. And I know and I feel as if that when people feel unsure about what they're doing or don't know what the next step is, maybe feel like they're in limbo, for some reason, just looking at the TV or looking at the phone makes them forget that. And so then they're constantly,
distraction.
They're full of always in this displaced, like, I feel that if my wife would put down her phone and really get on it, she could be a really good composer. Yeah. And I feel like I don't want to be just tolerated. Right. I don't know if you can Catch Me If You Can. I don't know if you've ever seen that movie, but where they're sitting there, the husband and wife are sitting there washing dishes in the sink together, listening to music, kind of swaying back and forth. I'm like,
absolutely.
I want that.
It just makes me sympathize for the state of human connectivity.
So I have a friend that she's kind of like a witchy kind of friend. She carries crystals around. I mean, she's like do it. So she looked at me and she said, the problem is and I wasn't even talking to her about relationships. She just walked up to me, grabbed my arm, and she said, the problem is with your relationships is that you have so much power and you get around people and they feel as if they can't live up to your expectations, that they start making you try to kill your power. Okay.
Sort of media is most frequented or accessed by your excessive users that you're concerned for.
My oldest daughter, it's mainly, God, what is it, Reddit and stuff like that. My oldest.
Oh boy, Reddit. Yeah, that one's a doozy. Yeah.
It is, yeah, and that's why and I feel like you know what I feel about Reddit? I feel like it's the way to spread negativity, or it almost feels like it's a stab at somebody. It's always, it was just weird to me reading, like I was like, okay, I want to see what this Reddit thing is. And I'm just like, it was kind of shunning down the other person. And I was like, this is depressing that this is what people are into, you know?
Yeah. I believe there's some sort of understanding you have to have when using Reddit, and there are so many, you have to filter so much and sift whatever your own interest or meaning out of it.
Oh, okay.
But there's just endless content, and you can justify any stance at all.
Oh, and without the other side of doing even more research. Yeah.
Yeah.
People don't do enough research before they start mouthing off sometimes.
Yeah, this is true. And with the misinformation that is just abundant these days, you can validate about any opinion, really.
Yeah, you could. It is crazy to me. I'm like, really? Like, and even like growing a garden, you can't just watch a couple people and how to grow a garden. It's like some things I'm just like, I can't telling you should do that.
Yeah. Oh man, there's a lot of those garden hacks or life hacks. Most of them are just awful.
Yeah, they're junk.
They are.
And people swear to those. I'm just like, oh my God. I was like, I love you. I'll pat him on the back.
I mean, growing up, I remember playing with sticks and the dirt and breaking things and mushing things and understanding the properties of various things and how stuff really interacted. And I feel that really has benefited me in my ability to actually rise to action.
Yeah, and wrap your head around things.
Yeah.
You understand more than just one facet of it. That's what
you got to put yourself in a situation. You can't just read about something and fully understand it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's why when people are like, "Oh, I feel you," I'm like, "Do you really?"
Right.
I was like, "You can't say I feel you, necessarily." Her thing is Facebook because she wants to give her.
Right.
She wants to give her 2 cents on everything. So
this is your wife?
Yeah, that's my wife.
Mm-hmm. That seems to be a generational thing too. The different media that you use.
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. I bet you it's more than we would ever think. And I know there's stuff that even the younger generation, that if their parents allow them to have technology, which I got to tell you, I saw a 3-year-old running around with his own cell phone at the park the other day. The mom's like, "Oh yeah, that's her cell phone."
Sure. That's
like,
just
what?
sad.
I'm like, okay, kids are not kids anymore. And it's weird that, yeah, it's sad to me. Cause I'm like, why don't they play out? Like we have a park right across the street from our house. We played out there every day, 3 times a day whenever they were little, and we would play in the yard. I'm teaching them how to grow vegetables, but yeah, it's just, I think people are so detached. It's so sad.
It is sad. You know what I think is interesting is in Aiken's take on the neurological cause and effect of addiction. She talks about how these apps trigger dopamine response, just like drugs,
Oh, yeah.
And if the age limit even for cigarettes now has gone up to 21, and you can't buy alcohol, you can't buy cigarettes unless you're 21. Why is internet access not moderated more?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, it's crazy. All this stuff I have to tell you is crazy to me. I don't. It's And that's what my deal is with technology. I mean, I think it has its place. Like, I use it for marketing my stuff, but with how other people do, and whenever you're sitting, like, you're really tired at night, and I noticed this about a month ago about me, I would look at my phone, and then I would get so wrapped up in it because I was so tired that I needed to take a shower before I went to bed, that I would be sitting on the toilet just hanging out there for 20-30 minutes looking at my phone, and my feet are asleep. And I'm like, no, this has got to change. Like, I'm not even anything that's promoting, I'm at least, looking at things, and I'm giving hugs and sending stuff, but I'm like, I don't know. I feel like it's so distant anymore.
Yeah. The intention is there, but the connection that is perceived, or that is you're aspiring towards, is very superficial.
Yeah.
And
really
hardly really fulfills that need to connect.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, it is.
On that.
Yeah.
The next question: how often would you say that these individuals are plugged in?
I would say my wife all the time. So even at work, and if she's sitting there waiting for someone to pull an order or whatever, she's looking at her phone. My oldest daughter, which is the one that was really bad when she was 14, 15, she's pretty much looking at her phone all the time, which if she has something, you can hear someone talking, she's listening to it. And my youngest daughter, she, I don't know, I think she's woken up from it, but she would look at it maybe 2 or 3 hours, I'd say an hour to 2 hours a day. My wife is at least 8 to 10 hours. Yeah. Well, I think the kids are seeing because she's not part of the household anymore. It's really weird. She's definitely has unattached herself to it the more she's gotten obsessed with it. And me saying something to her like, hey, can you put that down and hang out with us, has made her even more into it. So I don't say anymore. Yeah. So and then she acts angry, like like how kids do when they stomp their feet and stuff.
Right.
She'll quite literally do that, and I'll point it out, and she's like, no, I didn't. But I'm like, dude, you just stomped your feet because I said, can you hang out with us at a birthday party? Like, wow, it's the little kid's birthday party. Can we hang out?
That is definitely a sort of reaction or rebuttal from a sort of addicted mindset.
Yeah. And it's immediately. And you know what the weird thing is that she has, she's one of 6 kids. And every one of the kids that are part of this family suffer from some type of addiction, but doesn't smoke. She doesn't do anything. But I feel as if her addiction is her technology.
Well, absolutely. Just like smoking, just like drugs, it does trigger a dopamine response. And so she is getting her dopamine fix through her internet interactions and habits.
Yeah. And that's why I'm just like, well, and they have where you can talk to people about it, but she's like, I don't have anything wrong. And so if I ever try to, so it's just the same thing as working with an alcoholic, working with anything. So it's pretty.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a very sensitive situation.
Yeah. It's sad that it's like that, because me, if there's ever anything going on that I am, I always want someone to tell me if I'm acting like a dumbass or doing something stupid, or if I'm rude, please tell me, because I will sit back and be like, why was I thinking that way? But I think that's just the difference in our personality.
Yeah. Well, that's very interesting. So from your neglect, it's actually inspired consideration on your part, deeper consideration for your own actions in your part.
Yeah, it does. Well, it's like my mom, she throws away so much stuff. So me, myself, and I'm trying to teach the kids that don't throw away, don't buy things just to throw them away. So it's kind of, I guess I'm just trying to be that all the way around, you know.
Mhm.
So
I think we kind of, shed some light on this, but the next question is, how does the state of these individuals being plugged in affect home life activities, social interactions, and intimate bonds?
it affects it a lot. So the kids have a saying. The saying is, "Oh gosh, it's Saturday." It's Saturday, because when Saturday stares at her phone all day and wants to look at her phone, but doesn't allow her to look at her phone, which is a good thing because she has with us. But then but doesn't want to not look at her phone. So then it's
it contradicts.
Yeah, and so it's a real weird thing. It's walking on eggshells. And Sunday they're usually with their dad, which is a weird situation too. So, but it's just like technology, I think, has really ruined her staring at Facebook and all that stuff. I think it really has messed up our relationship in that way. And the kids, there's no bonding there anymore. They used to be kind of close and talk and do things, but I know some people are really hooked into technology as well. They're they want to prove you wrong. They want to things like that. So anytime that you say something, oh well, let me look that up and see if that's right.
Yeah.
Or let's see, what's another thing? And my oldest and youngest daughter will both do that too, and which I understand looking at the facts, but then sometimes it's just like, so yeah, a tomato likes a lot of nitrogen. Oh well, let me look that up and make sure it's a fact. I'm like, okay, that's cool. This tomato food, it's like, let's look up this. Let's look on this in this book. Like maybe we could look at it.
Do you think that these individuals might be seeking some sort of fulfillment through their cyber interactions, and if so, what might they be seeking?
Yes, I do completely. It's all about how to pat yourself on your back, That's how
self-validation.
Right? Yeah, back to the validation thing. Mm-hmm. Yes, because my wife likes to be known as a person that's really helpful. Mm-hmm. So go on there and tell everybody your 2 cents or whatever. And my oldest daughter, I think she likes to be educated, and so I guess that's how she does it. But yeah, I guess mainly my story is wrapped around my wife and with how the interactions with my oldest daughter. But yeah, I've been really sitting back and looking at this, and every time that you post that picture of that cell phone, I'm like, totally gets this thing. Like and I've been seeing it forever going, and you'll bring it up to people and people get so angry about it. And you're just
defensive. I've only had one person in the grouping for excessive users. And I have to be sensitive and say excessive user instead of internet addict. And this is only someone who is addicted for 7 years but has been reformed. But I can't get anybody else. Everyone else is grouped in concerned parents, concerned for others, but no one will admit to their own.
Yeah, like the people driving down the street looking at their cell phone while
Absolutely,
driving.
I've seen so many wrecks from this.
Gosh, I cannot. If you can't walk and look at your phone, how do you think it's okay to drive and look at your phone? Like, seriously, you're driving a weapon there, and then there's huge trucks around town, and they're looking at their.
Absolutely, but many people do this, and one person who I am pretty sure has an addiction, they said, well, they wouldn't necessarily, it depends on in comparison to others' behaviors, they find that they're fairly average. And I'm going,
oh my God, those people that have to sit there and compare themselves.
Mm-hmm. I'm going, well, most people drive with their phone in their face, and if that's sets the normal, then I don't think, then we have problems.
Gosh. Can we just think about what's safe?
Exactly.
People are so selfish.
Step back and allow our mind to reset and look at things, externally.
People are so selfish anymore. They just want to run you over, get out of my way. I'm just like,
That's another situation that this connectivity has, this innovation has introduced. This
they make it like they're the best thing, the best ham hock out there is how everybody's
it's accommodated.
Yeah.
It's accommodated and validated every single individual, giving them an isolation boost and a validation assessment. It's insane.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Man, it drives me crazy. I don't play video games. I don't know. I want to be out in my yard and I want to be messing with mud. No, it's so weird. We sometimes babysit a kid and she's 7 years old, but she's about the size of a 4-year-old. And this is another weird circumstance, but we feed her like crazy when she's here. But her parents feel like they're good parents, but all their other kids have eating disorders. And I think it's just because their parents are not ever on a schedule. Mm-hmm. But she doesn't know how to ride a bike. She's never flown a kite. Wow. She doesn't know how to ride a scooter or bounce a basketball. And I'm like, let's go out to the park and play. And the only thing she wants to do is run around. And I'm like, but I think that's cool that you want to run around. Let's run around. But do you want to try any of these other things? No, I don't care. We don't have
making necklaces out of the flowers. Watching the ants' behaviors, messing around with the little anthill.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what we were. Yeah, and that's exactly what. Like, let's climb this tree because there's this really cool. These weird bugs live in this area up here, and you can see them take in stuff, and they're taking care of their babies in there. You can see it, And she's like, "Oh, I see a bug," and I'm like, and so when I had praying mantises hatch in the yard, I brought her outside. She's like, "Oh my God!" And I was like, "Here, just seriously, you could hold the container. They don't bite or anything. Those little babies." And she's like, She couldn't even be like 4 feet close to me. It was crazy.
Wow.
Like, I know you're afraid of bugs, but we're going to teach you how to ride a bike or something. You're going to physically do, or look at this tree and look at the bird nest. Isn't that pretty? Or look at the shape of the clouds,
That's very interesting. Very curious.
Yeah.
What kind of exposure do they have or lack thereof?
Yeah. And she knows, if we, like one moment Aster needed to do an interview for school. And so we needed to figure out something because I needed to be there for her to be, entertained. And she's 7 years old. She's like, just let me see one of your phones. And we were like, well, how about you braid this bracelet together? And she's like, that's boring. And she just grabs my daughter's, the other phone that we have and dialed into it, or not dialed into it, but got online and stared at things while we were on the interview. And I was like, it's too bad that she couldn't make a friendship bracelet because we worked with her all that day
compared to that dopamine hit, other things just don't quite do it, or they haven't created that association in order to get that fulfillment from that designed to generate that dopamine.
Yeah, people want instant gratification.
That's right, that instant gratification instead of that opportunity to explore, to understand, and to enrich self.
Yeah, I'm just like, I just want to soak up all the knowledge, like anything that I could put my hands on and learn how to do it, or that's.
Yes, tactile, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm staring at the phone.
Visual and tactile.
I like watching like how other people make things sometimes, so then I can kind of figure out, okay, so this is how this was done, this is how they figured out how to do it, so how can I make it where it's better and more durable or whatever. But I can't do that. Like, you have to eventually sit down and do it yourself. So
absolutely. You really do have to experience things. How can you really know anything without putting yourself in it, without exploring it for yourself? I think that there is a lack of, problem-solving skills these days.
Yeah.
Because
people
of that.
Yeah, they get super pissed easily.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they don't allow themselves to fail so they can learn from that failure.
Yeah, and I kind of like, oh, okay, that didn't work. Wipe my knees off. How can we do better next time?
And I mean, talk about, that wonderful feeling of natural dopamine. And once you fail and you overcome that failure with a solution, now that is a feeling.
Oh my gosh, it feels good all over your body.
Right. And they don't get the opportunity for that.
Yeah, and all the pieces fall into place like they're supposed to.
Yeah. When something can provide them with that effortlessly without them having to fail, without them having to struggle, or it takes that all away from them. So everything does seem boring. It does seem undesirable in comparison.
Yeah. I guess I like the hard work.
I
I
do
think it's a
too.
totally,
But you understand the value of it too.
yeah. So, okay, I want to ask you this question because I've been studying a lot. Is that I myself am trying to figure out how, one, I am more connected to everything. So I'm Native American, and it has been tried to be forgotten in my family because where my family grew up at, you'd be shot on sight if they knew you were Native American. So
Oh.
my grandparents and my great grandparents worked really hard to make themselves look as white as they could, and they got rid of everything that they could that would make them seem as if they were Native American. So now that I'm here and I am doing more research, I'm like, I want to know, like, okay, I'm looking up moon signs and how I'm attached to this, and my birthday is on this day, and this is how my personality is. But then a lot of people are like, that's quacky. But I'm like, yeah, a lot of,
rediscovering self. That's such a fulfilling and valuable thing.
I don't know. I just want to become understanding more of myself. So
Absolutely. And more people, this is valuable, and it's something that's missing in so many people these days because entertainment and stimulation.
And then also, whenever you tell anybody about it, they call you a quack or crazy. So I feel as if that someone put that stigma, somehow that stigma has happened to wash that out of us, like the Native American, like, oh, if you tell anybody,
that's a really keen comparison you made there. Absolutely. Because there are so many people that are suffering from this and that are victimized by this, but it's a sensitive subject. They don't want to be deemed as an addict or seen as doing something wrong or incorrect.
Yeah.
So it's easier to call other people out in an area that they feel sensitive towards.
Oh yeah, you always got to be hateful towards the thing you don't understand, which I don't.
Yeah. So this is a growing problem. You nailed it. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very correlative to that very situation.
The technology and I feel as if it's being wiped. Like, it's just weird to me. And I'll flat out just watch people that don't even acknowledge what's even going around them right there. Oh, what's going on? What? Right here.
I can't really understand it as well. This is my fascination for this subject because, like you, I have been, raised by nature, exposed to nature, and I've lived a much more simple life and learned things the hard way.
Yeah.
And I understand the value of that. I feel like it has provided a deeper fulfillment in my life, being able to connect with everything around me.
So, okay, I have another question for you. So can you feel people's emotions whenever you're around them?
Oh, absolutely. I'm very intuitive to that.
Okay. And I think that's another reason why we can see this, because people not intuitive, that do not care about being connected to themselves, are the ones that are usually the most wrapped up in technology.
And I wonder if this sense needs to be developed during those adolescent stages while they're, taking part in constant, information and access and stimulation, that I wonder if that compromises the ability to develop those sensitivities and intuitions.
Yeah, I bet you it does. Then I also bet you it changes the shape of it, because you know how it changes how your mind works.
Absolutely.
I feel like that you're less connected. Like, yeah, it's just weird that sometimes I'll meet people and I'll be like, oh, you don't even feel that from a person. And I met somebody at the coffee shop the other day, and he was like, I could totally feel exactly how you feel about that person whenever they come around you.
is becoming endangered, really.
I feel like people, I feel like back to the Native Americans, it's shunned away.
Yeah, I agree. I really like that comparison.
Yeah.
That's a really great correlation. Absolutely. And I believe that's exactly what's happening right now. The world is changing. We're entering into a new age. And what does that mean for us? There's a lot we're missing. It's sad. What I want to find out through all of this, and I'd like to validate the essential bond of parent and child to the potential solution for internet or excessive internet use. Because if you really solidify that bond, if you're a present parent and engage your children and inform them, and mindfulness as well, and inform them of the internet before and moderate use, basically self-moderation and regulation.
Yeah.
But that involves personal intervention and moderation. And that's
yeah, and a lot of people are always afraid to say anything. And what the crazy thing is that I feel like that goes right back to the respect thing and being able to make sure, because I feel as if a parent, it's so funny to me, parents are like, yeah, I demand the respect for my children, but I was like, but how respect works, I noticed genuinely, how it really truly flows and falls into place is if you respect one another. It just can't be a one.
You got that right. Mm-hmm. And you have to prove your worth of respect.
Yeah, and so what the thing is with kids and parents trying to get this technology thing to work, how I've gotten it to work is I just ask them, like, whenever they're, hey, let's make a few moments where we're just like hanging out and doing our thing, or come in here and help us let's make some dinner, or who you talking to, and then I'll say, hey, how you guys doing? Back to, so, but I don't know. I feel like
because it's different in their internet habits.
Since all of that happened and went down, yes, there's completely, like, my oldest daughter, she now doesn't worry about connecting with people that she shouldn't be connecting with. For some reason at that age, it's their bait. And so for some reason they know how to show the people that want to get to the young kids. They know how to pull in the kids. And see, that's what my deal is like, I'm like, what is it that's pulling you into me wanting to talk to these people? And that was the first.
You're running a dialogue with her on these interactions.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing for parents to do, because what the deal is that they hate hearing that their kids say, I hate you, or God, why do you have to know about this? Well, because I love you, and you have to tell them, instead of walk away and being angry about it, you have to tell them the reason why you want to know. I want to make sure there's a predator after you. I want to make sure there's
Open communication and a display of genuine care. And there's so many elements to the parent bond.
Yeah. And respect, like back to the respect. My parents just asked me flat out, and that's the reason why whenever you're like, oh, I'm going to keep everything. And how I am is I'm very just an open book kind of person. So I don't say any, like, if my wife asked me how I felt about things, I'd flat out tell her, hey, I wish you'd stay off the phone a little bit, because I say it to her, but it doesn't get anywhere. And she knows that I feel that way. So I don't hide anything from anybody, I'm just. So, and I feel like what the deal is with the technology is it makes it so you can say things necessarily that maybe in the future that you would feel bad about saying.
Right, impulsivity, absolutely.
Yeah, and so I feel like people need to go back to, would I want to have that said about me? Or would I, what are the repercussions of this? And a lot of people don't feel that anymore. So it just is I don't know.
Some elementary considerations. Things that you grow up instilling. Yeah.
We don't need to stab each other in the back. I mean, I don't understand why that's such a great thing. It doesn't feel good. Why would you want that to be done to you, or why would you want to do it to someone else? So it's like,
right. They excuse themselves from feeling the repercussions of their actions. That's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so I have 2 more questions. So do you believe that internet and device-related activities have wedged the divide between parent and child? And do you believe that this divide can ever be bridged? And if so, what might that require?
Okay, so yes, it has. And yes, I do feel like it can be resolved, but they're going to want to have it there a little bit. So you have to give them allow them the time. And it doesn't have to be a scheduled time or anything, but bring them in and cook with them, or take them in the garden. Take them on a trip where the internet doesn't work. Eventually, what the deal is they're going to be grumpy about it at first, but even before we had technology, I don't know if you remember this, whenever you were a teenager, your parents took you on a trip that you didn't necessarily want to go because you wanted to be hanging out with this other person over the weekend. But by the time that you finally lost that sour feeling that you didn't get to hang out with your friend, you got to spend some time with your parents, and then you became grateful about the experience. Hopefully, I feel other people maybe experience that. I don't know, but I remember that because
definitely. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's sometimes hard to pull away from our desires, from our working desire, our current intent. But when we do allow ourselves to open our minds and accept the inevitability, we can find value in that experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to end this. I appreciate you allowing me to do this.
Yeah, anytime.
I love the insight that you've given me.
I have lots of views on weird things, so it's not the other stuff that people worry about. I worry about this being a good person. So.